Your manifestation ability is only as powerful as your self-concept. A strong self-concept makes your manifestation, and a weak one breaks it. And most of you know this already. You have experienced how a weak self-concept has led you to sabotage your manifestations. You clicked on this with the expectation that I will hype you up, so you will feel better about yourself and ultimately will get your manifestation. I do want you to feel better and get your manifestation. But here's the part that nobody tells you. Everyone has a great self-concept when things are going right. It's easy to feel unstoppable, powerful, and like you got it all figured out, when the universe is clearly doing what you want, when your SP is actually texting you, when you just found a $10 bill on the street. But watch what happens the moment the tide shifts. Your SP posts a new girlfriend, and how is she this pretty? An unexpected bill reaches you when you were doing so well managing your finances, and now you're just back at broke. You have been affirming for weeks on end, and nothing shifts. Manifestation must be rigged. Most people call this bad luck. The universe must be against them. Or they arrive at the conclusion that they were being too impatient, and if they waited just a little bit longer, then they would see their manifestation happen. Or they're set on finding a new technique because theirs clearly doesn't work. Whatever the reasoning is, no one understands the true meaning underneath the supposed bad luck. It's your real self-concept finally showing itself. Here's what I'm going to show you today. You didn't just experience a bad circumstance. It was you who built yourself a trap, and you built it long before that moment even happened. I'm going to show you exactly how your brain sabotages your manifestations every single chance it gets, and how you can finally see through it to upgrade your self-concept for good. What is your idea of the perfect self-concept? Is it someone who easily and effortlessly manifests all of their desires? Does the universe love this person so much that they don't ever have to experience negative circumstances? Are they so motivated and full of life that they shine in every room they enter? We all aspire to have a great self-concept, but the problem is we end up getting caught up in a fantasy. We fall in love with this idea of the perfect self-concept, that once we are finally able to believe that we are powerful, strong, and beautiful, then we'll get everything we want. But what is also happening is that we are distracting ourselves from the identity that we carry, that only comes to light when suddenly life isn't all glitter and rainbows anymore. The truth is that having a great self-concept is not as glamorous as most people think. And if you are serious about upgrading your self-concept, you need to take off your rose-colored glasses and open your eyes when it's the most uncomfortable. Your self-concept is not who you are when you're thriving. It's who you are the moment something painful happens. It's also who you are when no one is watching. It's who you are underneath the mask you put on for other people. It's who you are when you strip away the positivity you force because you were told that you need it in order to manifest. It's the person you are when you don't even think that you're manifesting. Everyone can perform confidence when nothing is testing it. Self-concept is what's left standing when things get hard and when there's no one to perform for. If your self-concept keeps collapsing at the worst possible moments, stay with me because I promise this video will turn everything you know about manifestation upside down. Someone doesn't text you back for 3 hours. That's not what you want your SP to do. Of course, that's incredibly frustrating. But let's look at what actually happened. They didn't respond for 3 hours. That's it. That's all that's true. That's all the facts you have. It says when you have sent your text and that it has been left unread for 3 hours. What you feel is that they're losing interest. You feel like you have said too much. You're truly frustrated because how can he leave you unread when you're literally manifesting for him to be in love with you? Notice there are 2 layers to this situation. Both feel real, and together they make up your experience. But when you look closely, you will see that the first layer is the only fact here. The only fact is that you have been left unread. The second layer is a story that you added on top of it. And that happened instantly, before you were even aware of it. There's a fact and a story attached to that fact. But when you experience it, it feels blended together. You recall the circumstance and you recall how it made you feel. You got left on red and it made you feel frustrated. But here's the problem. And the reason that I just reiterate the same concept like 5 times is because it is so crucial for you to understand what I'm about to say. Here's the problem. Whenever you see the experience as one event, meaning you can't separate it. You can't separate the first layer from the second layer, meaning the facts versus the story you attach to it. You will always be a slave to your circumstances. You will always get emotional and reactive because when you see your experience as a final product, it has this implication that you can't change anything about it. It's the reason that so many people see their circumstances as this obstacle that makes it impossible for them to manifest. So hack number 1 to upgrade your self-concept is to learn to separate fact from story whenever you encounter a painful circumstance. Here's how you catch yourself doing this in real time. Would a camera have filmed this? A camera would show someone not responding for 3 hours. It would never show losing interest. That's not something a camera can film because it's not a fact. It's a story. Anytime you're spiraling, ask, would a camera have caught this? Or did I add it? If a camera couldn't have filmed it, it's not a fact. It's your projection. And here's why that distinction actually matters. You can't change the fact. It already happened. They left you in red, the bill arrived, it's done. But the story was never fixed. That part was always your job. It was always within your control. Because the story isn't fixed, we can ask ourselves, where does the story actually come from? Why did your brain reach for losing interest instead of any other story it could have grabbed? Here's the part I genuinely want you to understand. The circumstance was not delivered to you as 2 separate pieces you had to assemble. Fact in one box, story in another box, waiting for you to attach them together like a DIY kit. It arrived as one single package. By the time it reached you, the story was already glued to the fact. You never got the raw, neutral version you can build the story on top of. You only ever got the finished thing. You didn't experience the getting left on red and then a second later consciously decide, he's an asshole, he ruined my manifestation. It felt like one thing. Like it was instant, there was no gap between event and reaction. It didn't even feel like it was a story that you get to choose. The projection was set in stone before the event even happened. Think of your music library. Every song in there you added yourself. Long before this moment right now, whenever you hit shuffle, you hear a song that you already added to your library. You don't have to search for a new song every time you want to listen to music. You get the shortcut of a library that saves your preferences for you. Your brain works exactly like that. Whenever you encounter a circumstance, it doesn't create a new story on the spot every time. That would be exhausting and take way too long. That would not feel instant. It plays one of the beliefs you already hold. It's not capable of automatically playing a belief that you haven't added to your library yet. If I'm not enough and manifestation is so hard are part of your library, the shuffle will always land on them. Not because it's the only song or story that exists, but because those are the kind of songs that you have added to your library. You react the way you do because that's how your current belief system is making you react. And here's the part that every person with a weak self-concept completely misses. They don't even know that there's a library with beliefs that have been pre-picked. They think the shuffle is just telling the truth, that whatever story comes up is the one and only unnegotiable truth. They don't understand that I'm not good enough is a belief that got added to their library at some point. Instead, they just think, that circumstance tells me I'm not good enough, then that's just how it is. They don't even think that they can change the story. You can't expect your library to play Nicki Minaj if it only has Ariana Grande songs. You can't expect to not get bothered by your circumstances if the only beliefs in there are, I'm not good enough and manifestation is not working for me. And you never even added, manifestation is so easy and I'm the whole package. You can't expect for your circumstances to stop affecting you without taking a good look at your own belief system first and making the changes there before they can play out in your life. That's literally the work I do one-on-one with people. Going through their library, finding what negative beliefs they actually hold, and rewriting them on purpose. If that's something you want support with, it's linked below. Here's why this actually matters. When the event happens, you don't go looking at the story. You go straight to the circumstance, meaning the hard fact. You wish he had never left you unread. You blame yourself for the bill showing up. You wish you could undo the message. You wish you could take it back and unsend it. Like if you could just erase the moment, the pain would go away with it. You think, this asshole left me unread. How dare he do that? How dare he ruin my manifestation? But it was never the physical circumstance. It's the story you attached to it. The circumstance remains a neutral fact. The story is what made it feel like a negative thing in the first place. You're the one who decided that he did something to hurt you and that your manifestation is ruined now. The story you added, that's the actual problem. Not him, not the red receipt. A weak self-concept doesn't see any of this. It takes that story and treats it like a fact, then spends all its energy trying to fight the circumstance instead. Trying to get the perfect reply, trying to undo the message, trying to make the bill disappear. None of that touches the actual problem because the circumstance was never it. So hack number 2 is stop fixating on the circumstances. Stop trying to fight it, control it, or undo it. It was never the source and it was never going to give you relief. Put your attention on where the actual problem lies. The story. That's the only thing that was ever yours to work with. And once you know that it's just a story, not the ultimate truth, you know that it can change. A weak self-concept waits for shuffle. It gets hit with the circumstance, shuffle plays whatever song is already in your belief library, and it just accepts whatever plays as the truth. It never occurs to it that it could create something new, that it could search for a new song and play that instead. A strong self-concept does something different. It knows the fact and the story were never glued together, no matter how entangled they felt. That means the second the old story starts playing, it doesn't just have to sit there and listen to it. It can create a new story or a new song for the exact same fact. But this time, it's actually favorable. Same 3 hours of getting left unread. Old song, he's losing interest. But you don't have to shuffle for your reaction to eventually land on something better. And you don't even have to hope that the better belief already exists in your library. You just write a new story. He's busy. He's thinking about his reply. It means absolutely nothing. Your manifestation is still completely on track. Same fact, brand new song, one that didn't even exist in your library before this moment because you just picked it yourself. Here's the hack. Whenever the old story starts playing out, don't argue with it. And don't just sit with it either. You're not a victim of your circumstances. You get to deliberately create a new story for the exact same fact. You don't have to be delusionally positive about it if that feels weird to you. Just pick a story that fits the facts equally well. You can turn, he's losing interest. It's all going down the drain, to, he's just busy. He will get back to me as soon as he can because he loves talking to me. Or even, he's so into me that he spends hours thinking about the perfect reply for me. The moment you can build a new story from nothing, the old one loses its power over you and your emotions. It was never the truth. All it was something that already happened to exist in your belief system and was the path of least resistance for your brain. And here's something I want you to truly listen to. The cold hard fact, the text that got left unread for 3 hours, is not a problem. It's not shameful. It never needed you to beat yourself up over it. It's just neutral. The only reason it ever felt like a problem is the story you stacked on top of it. And that story was never mandatory. It was never the cold hard, non-negotiable truth. It was just one of many possible stories. That's it. And that's the whole shift. You're not trying to control the circumstance anymore. You already know that was never the place to start with. You're not waiting for a new story to magically show up somehow. You're creating a new story on purpose. Every time the old one tries to run the show, you're not letting your own mind tell you that you somehow can't get your manifestation because this and that happened. That's what upgrading your self-concept actually is. Not fake positivity, not forcing yourself to feel good, just knowing that you were always the one who could write a new and better story for yourself. So, here's what you're gonna do now. Think of the last circumstance that you reacted to. Ask yourself, what was the hard fact? And what story did I attach to it? Then, decide on a new story for this same fact. Practice this every time something happens. That's literally how you're gonna build a strong self-concept. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them in the comments. And if you need help beyond the scope of what a comment can offer, my coaching and self-guided manifest money framework are linked in the bio. Sending you so much love, and I'll see you in the next video.